30 years ago, Al and Helene were here in Sarasota on vacation. They ended up putting down a deposit on a home, first as snowbirds and then as permanent residents. They love this community and they're going to tell you a little bit about it today. Come with me. How did you guys choose Sarasota out of all places in Florida when you came down here originally?
Go ahead, Wayne.
Well, actually, it's amazing. 50 years ago this month, I came down to Florida, Sarasota, with my first husband who was suffering from heart and kidney disease. He thought he'd feel better in a warm climate for a few weeks. So we came down here. We read about it in the New York Times that there was a place on the West Coast called Sarasota that was a cultural spot. And it sounded very much like our hometown of Rochester, New York, but with nicer weather. So we came down here. We stayed at the Sheraton Sandcastle on Lido Beach. And I thought I had found paradise. It was just beautiful, clean, and very comfortable and very cultural. And we stayed here for about a week or so. We went back, thought about coming down here for permanently, but he died 3 months later. So that was the end of my dream of Sarasota until I met Al.
That's awesome. And at first, you guys did the snowbird thing. You went back and forth between Rochester and Sarasota.
Right.
What led to the decision to make the move here full time?
We had a 5-bedroom house originally, and we sold that when we bought down here up in Rochester, so we moved into a small townhouse in Penfield. And I kept that for a while until one time in January, during the winter time, I got a call from my neighbor who was taking care of the uniform. He says, Al, he said, there's no heat. So I said, okay, we'll call the heating company and have them come over and fix it. So next week I had a bill for over $600 to repair it. And I said, what am I doing? I'm in Florida, I'm paying the taxes, I'm paying the heat, I'm paying everything else up there. Let's sell it. And we did, and that we decided to move down here permanently. Up until that time we were going back and forth twice a year, driving back and forth. And it got to be a lot, and this is another reason why we decided to move here permanently.
We did that for 10 years.
10 years. And so, you know, one of the things I think some people think about whether they're going to snowbird or come down here full time in retirement is, you know, you've got a single family home and is finding good people to help out with cutting the grass and the maintenance.
Right.
Have you guys had a lot of challenges with that throughout the years?
Not in cutting the grass or the maintenance, no. It's been, you have to be careful who you contract with in Sarasota or Florida. I was warned about that many when I first moved down. But we have been very successful. I've had the same man cut the lawn for probably over 20 years. And the rest of it we take care of ourselves.
Good stuff. You know, one of the things that you guys hadn't experienced up until recently was a hurricane to hit Sarasota directly. And Helene, they were so nice to have named the first one to hit Sarasota after you. So was that a surprise, and were you honored to have Hurricane Helene come to your front door?
Hurricane me?
Hurricane.
I was not happy about it because of all the names, and it was one of the more ferocious hurricanes. I always wanted my name in lights, but not like that. So no, I was not happy about that. I felt badly, and I apologized to everybody.
That's funny. Al, I'd love to ask, as a World War II veteran, you were stationed in Okinawa.
Right.
It's been a few years since you were there.
Right.
How has your view of that time in service and being part of such a historical event changed over the few decades?
Well, at that time, along with a lot of my friends in service, we thought this would be the end of wars. And it doesn't look that way. There have always been wars, there always will be wars. But even at that time, and I was stationed I was in the Air Force, and the war was just over, and I was at the B-29 airfield in Okinawa, and I was on the ground crew, and we were flying. They were doing missions. I said to one of the pilots, I said, "Where are you guys going?" I said, "The war's over with." He said, "We're taking pictures up north." And now I realize at that time, this is 1945, 46, they knew there were going to be problems up there with Korea.
I see. So Helene, you had mentioned something about your first husband, and you were both married previously for almost 20 years each,
right.
And you've been married now for almost 50 years to each other. So what do you attribute to two multi-decade successful marriages?
Well, I think as far as mine, it's loyalty to each other. And being there when the other person needs you, the love that you have for each other. We've had, previously our marriages, we had love for our spouses. We lost them, they were both died at a very young age. And now we appreciate what we have and the family that we put together. And nine grandchildren. How many great-grandchildren do we have? Four, whatever, as of today. And we just appreciate each other and live to that degree.
What do you think, Helene?
I agree with him. And I also think that because we both had situations where we were caring for ill spouses, we both understand the empathy and caring and need. And also I felt that Al would be a very good stepfather to my children, which was very important. And so that was another main reason. And I think we also have 5 great-grandchildren. We just remember. They keep growing.
At 98 and 90 years old, what recommendations do you have for younger folks looking to maintain the physical and mental health that you both are just really crushing it at? You guys are incredible.
I think the main thing is to keep active. Don't sit down. Keep active, even at my age. The idea is to get up and move. And I've always done that my whole life. I've always worked and so forth, and just kept active and doing things. If it's relaxation, play tennis or whatever, and work, just keep moving. That's the only answer I can give is keep moving.
And I can add that I think you have to move to a warm climate to keep moving, because we can go outside almost any time of the year and walk or just be active. And that's one of the reasons we moved down here. We just wanted to be outside, wanted to see the sun all the time. And even with hurricanes, I still recommend moving to a place where there's warmer climate.
That's awesome. You touched on your beautiful blended family. When the kids, the grandkids, the great-grandkids come down, what types of things do you encourage them to get out and do here in Sarasota?
Well, they want to go to the beach because there's no beach like Siesta Beach, and being on the Gulf instead of on a little lake. So they love the beach, they love going there, and they like St. Armand's, they like the Siesta Village. There's something very different about living in the Northeast, so this is unique for them.
I'm sure.
I guess you can say it's paradise for the kids. Don't forget, when they come down, it's wintertime. You get off the plane and take off their jackets and say, oh boy. And this is what they enjoyed, and we enjoy having them.
Yeah.
Fortunately, not enough, because they're busy lives themselves. They have their own families and they're busy. And but we make the best of it. We miss our family not being here with us. But we have each other right now, and that's the main thing.
That's great. And to you both, what are your favorite things to do in Sarasota? When you first moved here and on through.
Well, when we first came, I had played a lot of tennis when I first came down. I loved tennis at the time. I was not bad. I was good at it, and we enjoyed that. Helene gotten involved with different organizations, and having a house is always something to do. If you're handy, like I feel I am a little handy, there's always something to repair or do or take care of. And
keeps us busy.
Yeah.
And the idea, like I say, is just to keep busy. Keep moving, keep busy. And the day goes on, and before you know it, you're 98, and then what happens?
I think also the cultural life was very important to us, because we come from a city, Rochester, where there was a lot of wonderful concerts and plays and so forth. So that's one of the first things that we did. We were here, but one January when we bought the house, there was an arts day, which all the arts of Sarasota were celebrated downtown. And I thought I died and went to heaven, because I thought, oh, this is for me. And for years we ushered at the Oslo, and we've always been Florida Studio Theater and concerts. So it's been a wonderful mixture of good weather and culture.
That's awesome. I can't thank you guys enough for your time today. This was wonderful.
Thank you.
I just want to add one thing.
Please do.
When we came, some friends of ours, when we came down for vacation, some friends who were living here, they brought us around to this particular neighborhood, and go in and talk to the real estate agent. He's in that model home in the corner. So I said, okay. We went in, and he says, I can build you this house for this price and have it ready. This is in January. I can have it ready in September. All you have to do is put down $7,500, and the day you close the house in September, you give us the balance, cash, mortgage, whatever. So we looked at each other, and before we know it, we signed papers that same day. And I said to myself, the most I can lose is $7,500 if something goes wrong. Well, we got back. At that time, we were staying on Ben Franklin Drive in a motel, a hotel. Ramada. And we went back that night, and I said to Helene, what did we do? She says, we bought our kids a vacation home. That was her answer to me. And that was 30 years ago.
And they started coming to visit us months after we moved in, so we knew we did the right thing.
I'm sure you did. I'd love to thank Al and Helene for their time today, their story, and learning a little bit more about their journey here to Sarasota. If you're considering making a purchase, whether as a snowbird or a full-time resident, reach out and be well.